time to get with us. You have time to join us. Those of you that are watching, wherever you're watching, give us a call, 773-256-2700. That's once again 773-256-2700. Call us. Renew your Push membership. Let us know that you're watching. Those of you that are watching on Facebook Live, do us a favor. If you love Reverend Jackson, show some love all on that screen and share it. And if you're with us and you love Reverend Jackson, who's here, could you celebrate his life? Come on, y'all. This is a living leader. Come on, y'all can do better than that. He's alive, fighting the good fight, still got strength in his body. Come on, let him feel the love. And we're excited that he has some things to share later on in our broadcast. We are praying for many of families today. We're praying for Miss Ann Shaw. She was a founding member of Operation Push, and the mother of Michael Shaw and Deborah Shaw Black. We are praying for Nicky Jermone. He was a brother of Push. He was a part of our Push family, and we want to lift up that family. Mr. Jermone, what a great man he was. Gene Fairfax, an educator, civil rights leader, worker, community organizer, and philanthropist who was the director of community services for the NAACP. We are praying for that family in the midst of their loss, but we are believing God for strength. We're still praying for the 1-year-old who was shot in Chicago, baby Dejan. We're praying for Al Evans, who's a part of Black Men Pushing, longtime member, Cornerstone, Sinclair Booker. We're lifting up Miss Michelle Chambers, Ralph Monet of our Push studio, Aileen Walker, and last but not least, Reverend Clay Evans and his amazing wife. Push is praying for you. And as I said today, our leader is here, our founder is here. I want everybody to stand on your feet for none other than Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson.
I am somebody. Oh, I am somebody. Maybe down and pushed away, but at the end of this day, guess what? I am somebody. Look at your neighbor, say I am somebody. Oh, I am somebody. Hey, at the end of this day, turn and walk away, sing I am. One more time, sing it, I am. Let the world know that you are. Oh, at the end of this day, they can turn and walk away, but guess what? I am. Oh, I am. Oh, I am. Hey, this day, this way, I am somebody. Oh, God made me so I am. Oh, turn and walk away. Well, guess what this day, sing I am. Yeah. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I am. Oh, I am. Oh, let's keep the strive and keep hope alive and sing I am.
I am somebody. I am somebody. Red and yellow, brown, black, and white. We're all precious in God's sight. Everybody is somebody. Stop the violence. Save the children. Stop the violence. Save the children. I will vote. I will vote. My vote matters. My vote matters. Keep hope alive. Let me hear you scream.
Oh, one more time, sing, come on, I am. God made me so I am. Hey, at the end of this day, try to walk away, sing I am. Hey,
There's a lot of excitement in the air in Chicago in the midst of a hot and challenging political season. What is amazing to us is that during this week, Brother Sanders, in 1968, we were marching for the right to vote. At that time, we were intimidated by the fierce winds of Daley and Dunn. It was beyond the imagination we would have. Out of 14 people, 2 African Americans finished first and second. That's progress. Because of the last election, this vote emerging, the ex-slave states, 19 female judges, Jeanette, in Houston, Texas. And now 55 African-American congresspeople, 55. 7 are head of committees. There are now 38 Latino congresspeople, 20 Asians. Put your hands together, that's progress. I also want to say to you today that every spring of the year, Brother Bobby Rush your hand, Congressman Bobby Rush your hand. Every year, we send 3 busloads of children across the South to HBCUs. What amazes me is how many of our youth, men who live out south, age 18, have never seen Lake Michigan. They've never been to the Lincoln Park Zoo. They've never been to White Sox Park or the Cub Stadium. They've never been there. We take them on that tour across the states, and they go to Morgan Park, Morgan State, and Howard, and Hampton, and A&T, and Clark, and they go to Morehouse, and Spelman, and Florida A&M, Southern University. They see schools they've never seen. It opens up their vision. It opens up new possibilities for them. And so I want you to know that when we take these children on these tours, most of their parents cannot afford to send them on the tour, and we can't afford to not let them go on the tour. And so those who are watching or listening in the audience, for $1,500, you can underwrite, say, FAR, $1,500, I can sponsor a student a key to going to college. So I want you to call Push right now, 773-373-3360. I'll tell you a short story. Remember the football player that hit Gale Sayles, Alexander Bishop? And he said that the team would come out and talk to the youth every now and then. One of the kids they identified was he had all the kind of O.J. Simpson moves. He said he visited, saw him twice. He just ran from left for everybody and said at some point, he turned them loose. Then his mother and sister got killed by some drug bust. He said he went to court for the purpose of getting in trouble. He meant to kill the boy that killed his mom and killed his sister. He looked up, and the boy who had done it was the boy he walked away from and didn't mentor. He felt guilty and put his gun down. So the child that you saved may be saving your own life. Invest in our children. It matters. Next to the treasurer, Melissa Conyers-Irvin. Son, Melissa, give her a big hand. 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 Real big. On your feet. On your big hand. Say, Melissa. Now we're going to alter our program for us today. We're going to have Sister Tony Prewinkle to come and share with us now what she sees. A teacher of sterling character, a long-distance runner. What are we interested in? Every Saturday from now on, every Saturday, the candidates can have access to this platform if they choose to use it to talk to the maximum number of people. This is a 50-year program in the running here, so many people listening to this broadcast making up their minds about who they will support. What's our interests? Who has the plan to lift up the city and even the playing field? Northside has Cubs development and Lincoln Park development, billion-dollar projects. South and West Sides have closed schools and closed public hospitals. What is their plan to graduate from jails to jobs, building government structures like hospitals? How will they deal with the 80% unsolved murders? 8 wards where unemployment is above 20%. what we do with closed schools, buildings, stores, and other scandalous properties. We have a challenge and an opportunity. If we vote, our vote will make a difference. If we don't vote, we lose the right to complain. One of experience and character who is now the Cook County Board President and Chairman, County President Tony Preckwinkle. On your feet.
Thank you. Thank you, and good morning. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm grateful for that warm introduction. I would be remiss if I did acknowledge my Congressman Bobby Rush from the 1st Congressional District, and State Representative Melissa Conyers-Ervin, who's a candidate for Treasurer of the City of Chicago. As you heard from Reverend, I began my working life as a teacher. I spent 10 years in the classroom, and I loved it. You know, young people have tremendous energy and enthusiasm and hope, and it's a great privilege to be able to be a teacher. I loved it. Let me just say, though, that early on in my teaching career, I lost a student to gun violence. She was murdered in a drive-by. And it was on her own front porch. She just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And this is true of so many of the young people that we've lost. It was devastating for her family, for her fellow students, for the faculty and staff at our school. There was an empty seat in my classroom for the rest of the year. And it led me to have a lifelong commitment to sensible gun laws and to trying to address the challenges that violence brings to so many of our neighborhoods, And let me say, we often talk about the need for more police, better training, better supervision of our police, but we're not going to solve the violence challenges that plague so many of our neighborhoods simply with policing. Although we need better policing and we need to have a better collaboration and cooperation between our communities and police, we're going to have to invest in our neighborhoods. You know, we used to say when I was alderman that nothing stops a bullet like a job. We have to invest in our neighborhoods because we know that the neighborhood businesses hire people in the neighborhoods. And if we can rebuild our communities, if we can invest in our communities and invest in the businesses in our communities, we can provide employment in our own neighborhoods and help address some of the violence challenges that we face. I think it's important that people who are working folks get paid enough to support themselves and their families. So there are several parts to this. One, we need to build up our communities. We need to invest in affordable housing. We need to invest in our small businesses. And I have a plan to increase our investments in small businesses through loan and grant programs to help them get started, to help them build their businesses, to help them maintain their businesses. But we also have to support the working people, and I support a $15 an hour minimum wage in the city of Chicago. I've been a strong supporter of what they call the Fight for 15. And let me just say, 15 is not an arbitrary number. It's what it takes for a family of 4 to be just above the poverty level. You know, so there are people who say, hey, that's too much. You know, we can't afford that. Anybody who works for a living shouldn't be in poverty. Anybody who works for a living shouldn't be in poverty. So we have to support our small businesses in our neighborhoods, of course, but we also have to support our workers wherever they are. And that means at least $15 an hour. You know, when I was alderman, people would come into my office and say, I'm thinking about moving into the 4th Ward, this ward. And they would always have two questions. They would always have two questions. Are the streets safe and are the schools good? And when I talk about the future of Chicago, I always talk about the importance of having great neighborhood schools. And we've got some in some of our neighborhoods, but you can pretty much predict the quality of schools by the zip code that the young person lives in. Our more privileged parts of the city have high-performing schools, and other parts of our city have under-resourced schools. And we've got to have well-resourced schools for every neighborhood. And I'm talking about public schools. Public schools, because the public schools take all of our kids. We've invested a lot in magnet schools and selective enrollment in charter schools, but they don't have to take every kid in the neighborhood. And we need good schools that take every child in the community. And those schools need to be well-resourced. I'm a teacher. I know how important good teachers are. But in many of our schools, we need bilingual support for our kids. We need social workers. We need psychologists. We need wraparound services to be sure that the kids are supported and nurtured and can do well in school. That's critical, good schools. I've talked about investing in our communities. When I was alderman, we built hundreds of units of housing, affordable rental housing mostly, but some mixed income, some market rate. We want working people to be able to afford to live in our city. And that means we've got to make much more investment in affordable housing in our city. Much more. We're short tens of thousands of affordable housing units in the city of Chicago. And we want to be sure that over the long term, working families can afford to live here. I spoke earlier about the need to address the public safety challenges that our communities face. We need a police force that's well-trained, well-supervised, and is held accountable for performance. You know, across the country, out of every 100 murders, a suspect is arrested in 62 or 63 of the cases. But in the city of Chicago, it's 15 out of every 100. A suspect is arrested. And we've got to hold our police force accountable for performance, especially solving the most serious crimes, the murders and the shootings. I was at a meeting yesterday on the Southwest Side with a young woman who lost her sister to a murder. And she and her family, of course, were devastated. And she was concerned about whether or not the police department was going to focus on solving that murder. We've got to be sure that people feel safe in their homes and safe in their communities. And we've got to put resources into solving our most serious crimes. These are challenges that I addressed when I was alderman of the 4th Ward, and they're still the challenges our city faces. I look forward to working with you to bring our city high-performing schools in all of our neighborhoods, to rebuild the communities that have been struggling, to help small businesses that provide so much of the employment in our neighborhoods, and to work with the communities and the police to address our public safety challenges. I was the first woman elected 4th Ward alderman. I was the first woman elected to president of the County Board of Commissioners. And I look forward to being the first African-American woman elected mayor of the city of Chicago. Thank you.
Put your hands together. Before we bring up the next candidate, I might well call her name. She's been sitting very quietly, very patiently. Sister Laura Lightfoot, put your hands together. Laura Lightfoot. Before we bring her on, we have as our special guest today the choir from Howard University. Every year they come here, the Howard University choir. This is one of their pit stops. Big hand for the Howard University choir. Give it up. Put your hands together. Put your hands together. Howard University choir. Remember, next Saturday is Cliff Kelly Day. March 16th, next Saturday is Cliff Kelly Day. We're talking more about it. Go, Howard.
And it's a traditional song, but we know you know it. One glad morning when this life is over, we're gonna fly away. I'm going to heaven, yeah. The song says, oh, when the saints go, oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, Lord, I want to be when they go marching in.
Saturday morning, we will have the Cliff Kelly Day. The governor of talk. Cliff has meant so much to so many of us down through the years. A big hand for Cliff Kelly. Let me hear it one more time. I told you earlier today that
we're sending 3 busloads of children on a tour, Historically Black Colleges, March 16th. The parents average about $300 each to be able to send them. It costs $1,500. If you can send a child on this tour, please call us so they come by and see Dr. Jeanette Wilson, 773-FREEDOM, 773-FREEDOM. We are delighted today. When I look at Sister Tony and Mr. Lori, that one of the magazines said we don't have a choice. We have a choice. You have to make a choice. Can't be one win. But if Jane Byrne can be mayor, if Belinda can be mayor, if Trump can be president, so these women have the stuff. The choice is in our hands. As I said before, what are we looking for at Rainbow Push? What are our concerns as we've sought to work out an agenda? Brother, plan to lift up the city and even the playing field. What's your plan to lift up the playing field? Northside has Cubs development and Lincoln Park development, billion-dollar projects. South and West Sides have closed schools and closed hospitals. What is their plan to graduate from jails to schools, jobs, building government structures like hospitals? How will they deal with the 80% unsolved murders? So we have work to do. Our next candidate, if you will, is Laura Lightfoot. Laura, come forward, will you please?
Good morning, Push. Come on, you can do a little better than that. Good morning, Push. It is always a pleasure to be here, and I thank Reverend Jackson and the Push family for all the hard work that they do, all the unsung work that they do to support and unify and strengthen our communities. We are in an important time in our civic history. We have a very important choice that we must make on May 2nd, on April 2nd. The choice is, do we stay with the same old, or do we move forward in a different, positive change direction? Let me tell you a little bit about me for those of you who I haven't had the benefit of meeting. I have been in this city for 32 years, but I grew up in a small town in Ohio. Both of my parents grew up in the segregated South. My father in Arkansas and my mother in Alabama. And for them, the yoke of Jim Crow defined the entirety of their lives. They worked hard every single day. My father worked 2 and 3 jobs. My mother worked a series of low-wage jobs to make sure that their children had the opportunity to live a better and more fulfilled life than they were able to live. And I am the beneficiary of their hard work. And yes, I have been successful, and I have done and fulfilled the mandate and the dream that my parents had for me, and I will never, ever shy away from that. I am proud of the things that I have been able to do, the success I've had in my life, because it has meant that I've been able to take care of my family, take care of my mother and father, and provide hope and a pathway for my child. In this city, at this moment, we have a number of tough choices that we have to face. Of course, the violence is raging out of control, and we have a plan for that. We must rebuild our neighborhood schools that are critically in need of resources, new librarians and counselors and trauma teachers to help uplift the quality of life of our children. We must have a social safety net that really provides good quality health care, trauma care, pharmacy, and eliminate the food and other deserts that are plaguing way too many communities. But folks, we will never get there. We will never get there by choosing the same old, same old. This is time for a new day in Chicago, a government that is actually responsive to the needs of the people, a government that hears you and sees you, and is responsive to investing in our neighborhoods that have been deprived of resources for way too long. Now, we know about the investment that's going to be happening on the north side, $1.2 billion in an area on the north side. Think about what a fraction of those resources would mean in our community, in Roseland, in Inglewood, in Austin, in North Lawndale. We need a leader who understands that the only way that we are going to lift up the quality of life in every neighborhood is by investing in every neighborhood. I understand that need. I have the experience and, frankly, the vision to make sure that we can move forward together. But the choice is yours. And I've been saying this now for some time, and let me repeat it again because I think it's critically important. People all over this city have talked to me for months about the need for change. But they're worried and they're nervous that a government doesn't exist that is going to actually bring real change. Politicians come, they talk a good game, and then they disappear. And what has happened to the quality of life in your neighborhoods? What we need to do is hold elected officials accountable to make sure that the promises made are the promises kept. And the surest way that we can do that, is understand the importance and value of your ballot. We can't stay home. We can't stay on the sidelines. We can't cede our power to someone else. We need to go, and you need to find every person that didn't vote on February 26th and express to them the importance of this election, not just at the top of the ballot, but up and down the ballot. There are 14 races for aldermen. There's a couple citywide races for treasurer and clerk that are going to determine the destiny of our city. We need you to be out there and to vote your values. Be like me and thousands of other people across the city who are resolved to use their ballot to make a difference. That is the power that we have. That is the choice that we have in this election. And I hope that you will rally your friends, your neighbors, your family to understand that if we want to make sure that our community gets the level of investment that they need, that the choice could not be more clear on April 2nd. Join with me, and be resolved for change, to break away from the broken and corrupt political machine that has left our neighborhoods starving for resources, left people in our community wondering if their government actually will do something to help uplift the quality of life of people in the city whose voices deserve to be heard. That is a message that I've been bringing since May of 18. I didn't stand on the sidelines, I stepped up. I didn't wait until Goliath was slayed to be an advocate for people in this city. I stood up to say that we needed change and needed to go in a different direction because it was the right thing to do, not the politically expedient thing to do. So please join with me, whatever way you vote, but vote. Bring people to the polls. We have to make sure that we send a message on April 2nd that is a new day in Chicago. We need to bring in the light, and we need change. Thank you, Chicago.
The both candidates, put your hands together, put your hands together. Cliff Kelly, next Saturday, March 16th. Cliff Kelly, March 16th, 2019. Next Saturday is Cliff Kelly Day. Another sister who's running who has a tremendous ability to make a difference. I want you to hear what she has to say. She must greet us. We could very well have a mayor, a county council position, a city treasurer at the same time. Can Melissa Conyers-Urban, Melissa, come forward, please.
Good morning. I'd like to tell you it's such an honor to stand here behind the podium of our legendary Reverend Jesse Jackson, Jr. Good to see my good friend, Mr. Jonathan Jackson, as well as Dr. Jeanette Wilson. I am Melissa Conyers Irvin. I'm running for City Treasurer of Chicago. I'm proud to be a Chicagoan. You already know my story. Born in Inglewood, raised on the west side of Chicago, raised by a single mother of 3 girls, the only candidate in the race for city treasurer with an MBA in finance, over a decade of experience in the private sector, and a proven track record in the public sector. But more so than anything, the only candidate in the race for city treasurer that has walked in your shoes. I'm proud to stand here to represent my community. I have to tell you, when I look at our race for mayor, I look at our time for city treasurer, and I say, it is our time. So as I take my seat, because we've heard, as they would say in the Baptist church, the time has been well spent. So as I take my seat, I'll say, I need your help. I'm the only candidate in this race, born in Inglewood, raised on the west side of Chicago. So this is an easy choice, but I need your help. Someone asked me the other day, you're okay in the runoff, right? I've already voted for you in February. I said, that's not how it works. Yes, I am the front runner. Yes, on February 26th, I received the most votes, but this is a new election for April 2nd. Now, I'm a church girl, so I believe in the word of God. I'm standing on his word. I have the faith. Hey, raised by a single mother and 3 girls, we had to have faith. So I'm trusting God on April 2nd. But I also know that faith without work is dead. So I need your help in spreading the word. My punch number is the same, 5050. Do we know what 50 mean in Chicago? Well, I'm the good 50. I need for you to spread the word to punch 50 for Melissa Conyers Irvin to be the next city treasurer of Chicago. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Here is the SMF Weekly Update. The fight for voting rights is not over. 54 years ago this week, we commemorated the most important march in civil rights history, which led to the passage of the Voting Rights Act. We honor those who sacrificed their lives and those who continue to put their lives on the line.
Let that grace be sufficient. Yes. Let's go in peace.
Reverend Jackson traveled to Selma along with Illinois political director Betty Magnus. In the commemorative ceremonies this year, presidential candidates Senator Bernie Sanders, Cory Booker, as well as Senator Sherrod Brown and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton were joined by many legislators and political leaders to march over the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama. Voting matters. Then there's not so great news. Meanwhile, the Senate confirmed voter suppressor Eric Murphy to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 6th Circuit, who defended the worst voter purge law in the nation and turned voting into use it or lose it proposition for a lifetime appellate seat, dismantling voter rights for people of color. And Paul Manafort, the former Trump campaign manager, was sentenced to 47 months on tax and bank fraud, highlighting the inequalities of the U.S. justice system. And yet, Manafort was served less time than that of Crystal Mason, the black woman serving 5 years for accidentally voting with a provisional ballot. Kalief Browder, who served 3 years at Rikers Island for allegedly stealing a backpack. Reverend Jackson's tweet, Manafort gets a slap on wrist. That's called rich white man justice. While poor black and brown kids in Cook County Jail await trial for years because they can't afford $500 in bail. Shame, shame, shame on American justice. But there is good news. The House just passed H.R. 1 for the People Act of 2019. H.R. 1 represents largest expansion of voting rights since passage of the Voting Rights Act. Automatic voter registration, same-day registration, election day as federal holiday, ends gerrymandering districts, presidents must release tax returns, members can't serve on corporate boards. We are saluting a king. Congratulations to LeBron James on his career milestone as he surpassed his idol, Michael Jordan, for 4th place on NBA all-time scoring list. And let's not forget our queens.
Whether you're grown or little, women empowering other women makes us all stronger. This International Women's Day, tag the women who inspire, motivate, and influence you.
Representing all the women, salute.
It's International Women's Day. It's Women's History Month.
I'm telling you, this deserves more attention. You want to come up here with all these little NRA bills and bills that Alec have and all that stuff. I'm talking about my son's life. And I'm talking about the lives of other black kids.
This queen reminded us to never be silent.
I am upset.
You need to be upset somewhere else.
No, I don't. I got a right. I'm an elected officer just like you.
Shakita Evans has become the first woman drafted into the NBA 2K League, drafted by Warriors Gaming, that is operated by the Golden State Warriors. U.S. Representatives Deb Haaland and Sharice Davids introduced historic resolution recognizing Native American, Alaskan Native, and Native Hawaiian women as part of Women's History Month. Brooklyn Nets star Spencer Dinwiddie showed his respect to Queen of Soul Aretha Franklin by wearing these. And our very own Queen Mother, a Rainbow Push pillar and daughter of Jesse Ma Houston, still brings her ministry to Illinois prisons every Sunday. She asked, "How do people quit when people need me?" Was featured in the Chicago Tribune. Hail to the Queens. Reverend Jackson and staff attended the first mayoral debate with history-making African-American female Chicago mayoral runoff contenders, Lori Lightfoot and Toni Preckwinkle. Read, share widely, Reverend Jackson's Sun-Times column. This week, Selma, the birthplace of modern democracy in America. We need your support. Here are ways to give to Rainbow Push Coalition. Text PUSH, P-U-S-H, to pound 41444 to support the work of Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. and Rainbow Push Coalition. When you shop, Amazon gives. Visit Amazon Smile and select Push for Excellence as your charitable organization by starting your shopping at smile.amazon.com. Education in America. We must address the crisis. May 17th, 2019, Push Excel is holding an education summit at Roosevelt University in Chicago, Illinois. We are inviting educators, parents, and education policymakers and foundations leaders to join Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. in a State of Education Summit in Chicago.
I would encourage other students to go on the HBCU tour because it's very educational. You learn a lot about your heritage when you visit the cultural sites. And for seniors, you get accepted to most of the colleges on the spot. And plus, you get a week away from your parents.
When it comes to choosing an HBCU, it can be hard to figure out where to begin. Push Excel HBCU College Tour kicks off on April 13th to April 20th, 2019. HBCUs have a long and illustrious history of offering African American students a world-class education. Join us. With your support, helping to fulfill college dreams are no longer impossible. Go to www.pushexcel.org for more information. We invite you to register for our Rainbow Push Coalition and Citizenship Education Fund's annual international convention. Join us June 29th to July 3rd, 2019 at the Sheraton Chicago Hotel. For more information, visit www.rainbowpush.org.
Hi, my name is Felicia Neal. I am the National Director of Membership Services for the Rainbow Push Coalition. I am so excited to know that we have members around the world. Please, why don't you join us?
Join the movement, join Push. Do you have your pen?
And as I said at the beginning of this broadcast, this choir has come all the way from Washington, D.C. Tonight, they're going to have a great concert at 9600 South Vincennes at Trinity All Nation. It's free at 6 o'clock. Go to church with them at St. Sabina tomorrow at 11, or go to evening service at Trinity at 6 to worship with them. But today, we are grateful again for the singing voices from Howard University. Come on, put your hands together. Turn up your TVs, turn up your radio as they come and share their gift.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. And when the day of Pentecost had fully come, they were all together in one place. And suddenly there came a sound as a mighty rushing wind. The glory of the Lord filled the whole house. Said, Father, you said in your word that you would. Father, you said in your word that you would pour out your spirit on sons and daughters. Pour out your spirit on sons. Yeah. Said, Father, you said in your word that you would say, pour out your spirit on sons and daughters. So we're asking you, refresh, restore, and said, fill us again, God. Fill us. Said, we know that you are the giver. Said, we need your power. And we sing your glory song. Said, rain on us. We need you to rain on us. God, we need you to rain on us. Yeah, yeah. Said, Father, you said in your word that you would. Yeah. Open the heavens and pour out blessings there. Said, Father, you said in your word that you would say, yeah, yeah, you would open up the windows of heaven, pouring out blessings that you don't have room for, say. So, we're asking you, oh, come on, if you believe it, said, fill us again, God, fill us. Said, we know that you are the giver, and we need your power, and we sing your glory. So refresh. Come on, God, we
put your hands together again for Howard University. And while you're clapping, could you celebrate Miss Santita Jackson, the daughter of Reverend Jackson and Howard alumni? And so we are just grateful. Those of you that are watching us, you should stay connected. We're going to be online at Facebook right now on rainbowpush.org. We're not going anywhere. Those of you that are listening on WVON, we are grateful that Jonathan Luther Jackson, the son of Reverend Jackson, is here with us, and he's going to share with us shortly. And also, we want to say a happy birthday. She is 101 years old. She's been watching. Could you put your hands together for our very own Don Terry's mother? Come on, you all. Y'all can do better than that. She's 101 years old. And so today we want to again celebrate our women, and this young woman, Gabriella Gatherite, she is a junior, and she wants to share with us her speech to inspire us. Come on, put your hands together as she comes.
Good morning, Rainbow Push. I will be reciting Phenomenal Woman by Maya Angelou. Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size, but when I try to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say, it's in the reach of my arms, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. I am a woman phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me. Men themselves have wondered what they see in me. They try so much, but they can't touch my inner mystery. When I try to show them, they say they still can't see. I say, it's in the sun of my smile, the grace of my style. I am a woman phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me. Now you understand just why my head's not bowed. I don't shout or jump about or have to talk real loud when I'm talking. It's in the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palm of my hand, the need for me to care. I am a woman phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me. Now I would like to introduce Reverend Jesse L. Jackson for this opportunity. Thank you.
Give her a big hand, big hand, big hand, big hand. Show your love for our children. Show your love. Jonathan Jackson. Jonathan.
Thank you, Dad, for this opportunity. I would like to give a very warm, special thank you to Gabriella. Wasn't she just absolutely fantastic? Please come and get your children involved in our oratorical contest. And what can you say about Howard University? Howard University is in the house today. Thank you for blessing us with this great musical tradition. Our soul is impacted. And 50 years after the Honorable Shirley Chisholm was sworn in as the Congresswoman, the first African-American female Congresswoman from New York, 50 years later, here in the city of Chicago, a year of Jubilee, we have a choice between one of two women to be the next mayor of the city of Chicago. I'm sure Jean-Baptiste DuSable is looking down from heaven on this moment. My remarks for today, I'd like to share with you two things. One is on this judicial system, and the second thing is voting, and voting for what? Okay? People come, seasons come. I see the angst and anguish on your face. What are we talking about? Safer streets, lower taxes, better jobs, more health care, reduce the crime, all of it over and over and over again. I'm so tired of hearing that stuff. What is it that I want to leave with you on that? We're going to hold the candidates accountable for the day after we vote them into office. The path to being the next mayor of the city of Chicago, yes, you're going to need Polish. Yes, you're going to need white. Yes, you're going to need ethnics. Yes, you're going to need Italian. But the vote to become the next mayor of Chicago comes straight through the gold in the ghetto. You've got to come through the south side and the west side. You've got to make some promises, but this time you're going to back it up. Look at our streets. Go down Cottage. Go down Halsted. Go down 89th, 79th, 95th. Go down the west side. Madison, Kedzie, Kelo. Come on, Costner, where we've got train stops closed. We're going to make a change. It's unnatural. I'm born in 1966 here in Chicago. The world's population was 3.5 billion people. It's over 7.3 billion people in the world today. The world population has doubled in 53 years, and the city of Chicago has shrunk by over 1 million people. If you see 300,000 people of one ethnic group being moved off of land in one geography, that's called ethnic cleansing. We've been targeted through a corrupt tax system to move our people off of our land. What was the West Side is now the West Loop. When we got a county hospital going up that cost over $1 billion to redo the facade, to have a hotel and a museum, and you don't have blacks working on the job in the heart of the West Side, it's time to be fed up. What are we waiting on, brothers and sisters? The next mayor has to come through the heart of our community. What are you voting for? It's your choice. We've got a female that's the head of our county. Let me tell you something that's perilous about the city and the county. It's the best of times and it's the worst of times. We can see our way through this. But right now we have 137,000 persons working for the county. We've got 126,000 people drawing pensions from the county. The ratio is almost 1 to 1. I just want you to have the facts. You're going to have more people drawing off of the pension fund than contributing into the pension fund. The disaster is already here. The city has roughly 50,000 people working, and you've got 50,000 drawing off of the system. There's not enough people contributing in for the money they're taking out. The 3% COLA that was promised for in perpetuity to the teachers and other municipal agencies, guess what? They did the math wrong. It doesn't work. The money's not there. I know you're saying that's doom and gloom. Why are you telling me that? Well, then again, I'm not running for office, so I want you to know the truth. If I were running for office, Dad, I'd probably say, wait till I get in there and I'll look a little closer and then try to figure this out. And we'll figure out what we can see when we see. I hate all that mumbo jumbo talk. Tell me yes or no, yes or right or wrong. Is this a truth or is this a lie? Grown folks can make a decision. Mayor Rahm Emanuel, farewell so long. But when you close 50 schools, we've got some work to do in our community, because when our own aldermen don't speak up and speak out and stop the carnage, we've got to have change. When you got more of our black men and women in Cook County jail than at Chicago State, don't get used to that. We have to have change. And I want you as mad the day after you win as the day before you win. I want you to go back to these same black churches the day after you win, just like you do the day before you win. Don't go downtown promising everything to the North Shore. We should have something to say about Sterling Bay. It's in Lincoln Yards. It's on the old Finkel Steel site. That site is a $6 billion development. The ratio for affordable housing states that you're supposed to have 1,200 units in that development. They went from offering 300 to 600. The law states 1,200. We need equal protection under the law. We need to think big. When I was in high school in Chicago between 80 and 84, there were 50,000 summer jobs. I'm going to propose to the next mayor, why don't we bring that back? As opposed to putting $100 million, you hear me, Teddy, in overtime for the police department, let's go on and put $100 million into 50,000 children's hands so they can have some space
money. This is coming back down to the money. You got $8 billion dedicated to O'Hare. What blacks are working at our O'Hare airport? You got $6 billion dedicated to Sterling Bay. What blacks are working on the development of Sterling Bay? You got $1 billion at the county hospital. What blacks are working at the county hospital on construction? Ministers, I care about you. Your neighborhoods are depleting. The parking lots are expanding. The residents are leaving. The coffers are going to be emptying. The churches are going to be shuttering. The world population, brothers and sisters, has doubled. What is going on through a period of taxation where you build and fix your house in the black neighborhood and your taxes go up? And you don't have access to a grocery store. Your children don't have their needs met in the schools. Well, you don't have the transit routes. We have 3 transit systems in the state of Illinois. It's wrong. Why do you have a CTA, Chicago Transit System, that goes to Skokie, Illinois? The Chicago Transit System goes to Forest Park, Illinois. The Chicago Transit System goes to Evanston, Illinois. The Chicago Transit leaves the city of Chicago, and it doesn't go to Roseland in the city of Chicago. It doesn't run the train to the southeast side, to South Shore and beyond. You can't get one transfer to go from Metro to Pace to CTA. That's discrimination and racism in transportation. You don't have a Pace bus lane for high occupancy going down on the South Side Expressways. I want us to open our eyes and look up and go where God wants us to be. I'm enjoying this choir so much, I'm going to ask them to sing another song. But if the ministers don't mind, I just got one more closing point. I'm so stirred up about this justice system. Let me step back and pace myself. I started off in special ed, speech pathologist, therapist. I had to learn to curl my tongue and couldn't quite get all those vowels and enunciate everything. So when I get excited, I may start stuttering. This poor young brother, Jussie Smollett, the young actor on Empire, who just got indicted with 16 counts. This week, Paul Manafort, having lied to our government, having engaged in tax evasion, gets 47 months. And they almost want to give this young man 100 years. First of all, we don't know all the facts of the case. So I don't know why our superintendent of police went to New York to get on TV to talk about something that he doesn't know everything about. He didn't do that with Officer Jason Van Dyke. Come on, Teddy. I mean, he's got a lot to say. I'm tired of black folks getting in power, beating up on other black folks. Man up and talk back to some other folks. This young man, he may need some help. I don't know the case. But I also know that, is he guilty of beating himself up and now got 16 counts? Is he guilty of paying somebody to beat himself up and now you want to give him life in jail? Is he guilty of wasting the Chicago police time that has 85% of the murders unsolved? Is he guilty of what? Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is dead. The case is closed. Now you want to steal the man's money from his grave? Do you want to take his body out of the grave and now try him where a dead man can't talk and then stick his remains in a jail cell? My father gave me a few more minutes. Come on, y'all. I can tear up thinking and seeing my grandmother, Gertrude, And sometimes I would talk to her right after I got off the stage. And she would smile and say this, and I'm like, well, what's going on, Grandma? She was happy. And I said, what you so happy about? And my grandmother, she couldn't quote the Bible. She didn't want to go to church. She feared God, but had a lot of questions. I said, Grandma, what made you so happy this day at Push? She says, Jonathan, we got to tell the truth to white folks sometimes. And when you say that, people are afraid to speak the truth to the power. She worked in the kitchen. She didn't have all the words. She said, politics is for rich people. You got to stay with the people. Look at what's happening in the judicial system. You got all these men that are now being charged. You got to call the names out. God bless our brother Cosby. God bless Mr. Kelly, what he's going through. Ain't no big sins and little sins. They're sin, and we're all sinners. We got to turn the corner. But after you get through beating them up, come on, Harvey Weinstein, Hollywood mogul, making everybody do a couch call. Come on, Kevin Spacey. Where's the media? Where's our journalists that want to interview them and call them out? Call them out so our children don't think that we're decrepit souls and we're the only ones that go through the human condition. Stop smearing black men. Nobody's defending bad behavior. But why don't you talk to the pervs? All of them. If the superintendent of police can man up over little Juicy Smollett, who paid somebody to beat him up, he's the first man that's being charged with paying somebody to beat him up. And y'all gonna come down with 16 felony indictment counts, and the same superintendent of police ain't got nothing to say about a tape on 1080i HD high recorded that was in the archive that had the assassination of Laquan McDonald. You have nothing to say? No, we're going forward. We need the economics to come back into our neighborhood. Chicago's a beautiful city. We have a rich culture. For the next mayor, for the 57 million tourists that come through Chicago, you need to go to Chinatown. You need to go to Greektown. You need to go to Ukrainian Village. My God, you're gonna come to the south side and the west side of Chicago. You need to know about Mahalia Jackson. You need to know about Thomas Dorsey. You need to know about Nat King Cole. You need to know about Quincy Jones. You need to know about Reverend James Cleveland. You need to know about Jack Johnson. You need to know where Joe Louis lived. You need to know where Muhammad Ali lived. We're gonna stop being exterminated in the city of Chicago. You need to know where Isaiah Thomas came from. You need to know where Kirby Puckett came from. You need to know where Big Mark McGuire came from. We have a lot to celebrate. My brothers and sisters, we're going to engage in the process. We've got two great candidates. They're highly capable. We're going to make demands. We're going to do this just like the gas station. You got to pay in advance. Don't come back and telling me what you're going to do afterwards, after you get the votes and drive away. All these elected officials can count, and we're going to hold them accountable.
Put your hand together. Let's say Howard University. Put your hand together. Jonathan Jackson. Let's hear for Jonathan Jackson. Hey, Lilith. Hey, Lilith.
our choir began, let me say this to you. This has been a marvelous day of activity. We're in the center of the universe. I need your collection now because it's how we survive. We don't survive on government grants. Reverend Sanders got money, and Lilla got money, and Edie got money. You act like y'all got some money today. Come in here for free and leave free. I'm also going to take the choir down to Pearls and let them eat a whole meal. Y'all, now, do y'all eat still the green cornbread and something like that? Oh, yes, sir. Greens, cornbread, chicken. The college so they eat some greens, cornbread, and all that down at Pearls in a few minutes. You'll give $100,000 more. Please stop just for a minute. Wait. Stop everything for a minute. Lilla, know you have money. Lilla has green money that's turned brown. Ain't even spend it. Sanders got money. Reverend Sanders, $100. President Treadwinkle, $100. Now Sanders giving $100 just in case he loses, you'll have access to some. Hedges bits. Apostolic. Bishop Jones. Jerry Jones. Quick, guys. Quick. You give $100 or more. Shh. Marty. You'll give $50 or more. Please, Sam. This will go away quick. I'm gonna take the kids out to Pearls and let them eat till they get sleepy. Bishop Edie, I saw you on television yesterday making choices. B.A. Koff, 150. Thank you so much. Friends, we need your support. Yes, the lady sitting right there. You. Love you, girl. You'll get $50 or more. W.L. Lillard. Cash after Tuesday. What that mean, Lillard? Cash after Tuesday. It's not that kind of situation. It's not a currency exchange. Pastor Hunter. Where's Hunter? Hunter, come and sing something right quick. Let the choir back you up. Huh? Yeah, Jonathan, you monitor him. You'll get $25 or more. Just 1 second. Reverend Hunter gonna get down in a minute. We'll take the kids down. Now, some of you, on a serious note, we're trying to send kids on the historical black college tour for $1,500. Some of you are able to do just that. We need to send these children to school and not send them to jail. These are our children. Am I right about that? So these are our children. We send them to college, not to jail. If you've not yet given, stand. If you've not yet given, please stand. Give now. Reverend Hunter from the Mighty West Side. Brother Edie, $100. Yeah, Michael. What are you? Come on, Hunter, get down for a minute.
God bless you, Reverend Jackson. Come on, let's give Reverend Jackson a hand. And my God, Jonathan. My God, I agree. Hey, when they ask me to sing off the cuff, I can't think of a lot of songs that I know, but I can always think of congregational songs that make me happy in church. Can we just make a big choir out here and sing a congregational song? One song that I sing every Sunday morning, I say, glory, glory, hallelujah, yeah, since I laid my said again, saints of God, glory.
stand. Amen, 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 amen. Now we're going to do two things, friends. Please give me just a minute. One, the tour takes off March 6th. We're coming through Howard University Choir's campus. I want y'all to be sure to welcome our students when they get there. I also want to say to you today, next Saturday we're honoring Cliff Kelly. He's been a voice over a long period of time. We owe it to Cliff. Next Saturday, hopefully, Tony Preckwinkle and Laurie Life will be here. This is their platform, right? Reverend, to tell our story. Vote for who you want them, but do vote. Say, do vote. Vote whom you want them, but do vote. Now, upstairs, we have a shop that sells T-shirts and stuff. If you're interested, you can get T-shirts and all that. In the meantime, we're going to take the choir down to Pearls. Now, I know that at Howard University, they make, y'all just eat hors d'oeuvres, don't you? Y'all hors d'oeuvres and chicken and cornbread, tater pies, and peach cobbler. Which one of y'all from Chicago? Come here, girl. Chicago's in the house. Where y'all? Amen.